Cliff Edom New America Award. This is going to make you guys think a little bit. In urban communities and rural towns, the spirit of diversity is celebrated and witnessed in everyday life. Our goal is to recognize photographic storytelling that focuses on communities, diverse groups, and issues in America that are often undercovered in the media. Acknowledging the genius and effectiveness of Cliff Edom's vision, approach, and passion for teaching, we ask you, okay, Cliff Edom began his experimentation in photographic education in 1943. His purpose was to provide access to the community life of a small town and local communities for photographers so that they could hone and develop photographic skills. Okay. We will go through.
Can we take 2 minutes?
Can we take 2 minutes? We can. Let's do
Just
a
2 minutes.
small bathroom break. It's 10:36. I'll give you 4 minutes.
Cool.
At 10:40, we're starting again. Okay. Thank you all. All right, are we back?
I am back and checking on my Slack messages.
No, I didn't even see.
Do you guys want to go through these stories just like looking at the contact sheets first and going through each one, or do you want to go through each individual photo?
I prefer contact sheet first, but I don't know the other judges.
Yeah, that's
Did they?
fine with me.
I'm cool. I'm going with whatever the group decides.
Wait for Kimberly. All right, I see volunteers, Sarah and Julia, that you have a 12:30 break. That is a mandatory break for you all, and I will do my best. We can get at least 2 more done, this one and another one done, I think, between this time with the way these judges are doing it. Hello, judges. Welcome back from your potty break. Do you guys want to start out with a contact sheet? Do you want to go through each picture individually to start with?
I think the
We could do a contact sheet first,
Okay,
from my point of view.
let's do a contact. That's what I'm hearing. Good. How many are in this category while you're looking? 12. Community.
nice.
Do you mind if we also, like, at the very beginning, get a title, at least for the story, so we can have some sense?
And I feel like we're gonna have to look at these because I could probably eliminate, but it's a little bit. I'm not sure this is fair to the photographers to just eliminate like this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a title really helps.
Yeah, I think
That's a
this
good
one here
idea.
just give us a sense of, what they are, but definitely we have to read the story and look through each one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we should do that then. Maybe we should just start
Okay.
over then and just do that.
Okay, that was all
Yeah.
of them. So I can go back through each individual one and Julia can read the story while I go through them. Does that work for you guys?
Thank you.
All right, so this one, wait. Okay. Everyone counted these kids out, but this 38th Street football team defies expectations. A 2-year look at life for children in Indianapolis playing in the Indy Steelers football team. They are adults with adult expressions and little kid bodies, and they are just having to deal with a lot. Whether it's the death of a loved one or alcohol and drug addiction in their family, or they've had to move a lot, Allison Luth, a community leader, said of the players. Almost all of them know someone who's been affected by gun violence. When Coach Donald Hamilton started the team 15 years ago, his goal was simple: mute the echoes of gun violence so children can learn a better way. For nearly a century, leaders in southeastern Colorado have worked on plans to bring clean drinking water to the area through the proposed Arkansas Valley conduit. But progress on the pipeline project continues to stall. Pollution, water transfers, and years of worsening drought amid a warming climate are added to the stresses for water systems in the area. Along with these issues, the area continues to see population decline combined with a struggling economy. In 1962, southeastern Colorado thought President John F. Kennedy was delivering a solution to the drinking water problems when he came to the area to authorize the construction of a pipeline to deliver clean drinking water. Today, there is more to talk about building the pipeline, but so far, no one has delivered on the promises residents have been given for decades. Small family farming is increasingly unstable as extreme weather, fluctuating commodity prices, rising costs, and population loss after the economics of running a small to mid-sized operation. Hundreds of farms file for bankruptcy each year in the United States, with the largest share routinely coming from the Midwest. In his earliest memories of his family's 151-year-old farm, Ethan Ollier rides in an old truck with his grandfather Arden, feeding cattle and mending fences. Before Arden's death 5 years ago, he reminded me that I was a good cattleman, Ethan said, and I have to keep it like that. Ethan, now 17, still notices his grandfather's wiring technique and fence posts scattered across the farm in the rolling plains of northeast Nebraska. He walks along the same paths as 6 generations of Olliers, but Ethan may be the last to work the land. There's enough labor for 4 people, but not enough income for one, his father, Jeff, said. Like most farmers, Jeff sells cattle, corn, and soybeans at prices set by a global commodities market. This work explores the social impact of war on U.S. military families who have supported America's war efforts unseen. In 2013, after becoming a military spouse, I moved to from Los Angeles to Fort Irwin, California, the National Training Center for U.S. Army troops, where they practice simulated warfare right before they deploy. It was the height of the war in Afghanistan, and the location was remote. I felt isolated and disconnected from this military existence, and so I began taking pictures to make sense of this new life and engage with my community. Less than 1% of the general population serves in the military, and 60% of active duty service members have families. The shrinking demographic is becoming more family-oriented, and it is the family members who shoulder the burden of war. This community is always in a state of preparation for war, at war, or dealing with the aftermath of war. Because the civilian population is largely unaware of the U.S. military operations abroad, the divide between the civilian and military communities continues to grow, further alienating a community already under intense stress.
Is this still the same story?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Flint, Michigan, a city of just over 80,000 residents, its national reputation is one of crime and a tainted water system. But that is far from the full story. There is much, much more to why so many choose to invest in a life here. The community is tenacious and beautiful. Its residents hold on to their tried and true roots and give a fresh breath to their continued confidence and hope. Flint is not an ordinary place. It is exceptional by virtue of its people, aptly nicknamed Flintstones. This is Vehicle City. This is home. This is Flint. Unhoused but unbroken is the story of Valerie and Henry Zeller, two of the 65,000 people living homeless in Los Angeles. When I met the couple, they were living in a tent in Echo Park Lake, home to the city's largest encampment where I walk my dogs. Valerie was marrying Henry, a 63-year-old veteran, and she invited me to the wedding. She had proposed to him. I just went into the tent and I said, "I want to marry you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." I could see tears in his eyes, and he said yes. They were married on March 20th, but not long before their wedding, rumors began to swirl that the community of 300 people was going to be evicted from the park. And just days after the wedding, that was exactly what happened. Valerie was ready for battle. "My honeymoon is over and it's time to fight." And she defiantly remained one of the last holdouts to leave the park. Most living in the park accepted temporary pandemic housing from the city, but some, like Henry and Valerie, did not. They didn't want to live under curfews. They don't want to be told what they can and cannot do in program housing. They feel it's dehumanizing. After living on the streets, then in a motel, Valerie and Henry were given a van with 200,000 miles on it to sleep in. And they parked along a road outside Echo Lake Park. "It feels so good," a beaming Valerie said at the time, but more recently, she and Henry have endured a difficult stretch. She moved from the van to the park area to a restaurant lot and it was towed. The van is now in the pound. In addition, her beloved dog has disappeared. She and Henry have been sleeping in the streets again. They're still together, but the pressure of being in the streets has taken a toll.
To say very strong story.
Mm-hmm.
And I 100% respect this photographer. You can tell they are very well invested.
We've seen this next one before. Valenzuelas were already living paycheck to paycheck when eviction notices started appearing on their door, addressed to somebody else. They were sure there was a mistake. All over the state, people like the Valenzuelas are in danger of losing their homes. In Fresno County, more than 650 families have been forced out of their homes since the coronavirus took hold, despite a federal eviction moratorium. Finally, one morning, the sheriffs arrived and kicked the Valenzuelas out. Brianna, who goes by Bree, watched as her family had nowhere to go. At only 10 years old, she understood her family's fragility, how they had been teetering on the edge of crisis for years and how the eviction could upend them. Her mother, Danita, was sick, terminally ill with kidney disease and congestive heart failure. Her grandmother, Sharon, who lived a few miles away, often stayed with them, watching Bree while Danita was on dialysis. Bree's father, Brian, wasn't able to work after a bad car accident. He fixed up bikes for cash and they lived off his unemployment. The stress of the eviction shattered the family. After a week at Motel 6, they had run out of money. Brian and Bree were staying with her grandmother, Sharon, and Danetta was staying with her extended family. With options dwindling, Danetta decided they would have to move to Alabama where her mother lived. When Danetta told Brian she wanted to move, he refused. On September 8th, 2020, the Almeda fire broke out in southern Oregon. The fire displaced thousands of families and destroyed almost 2,500 homes. The towns in this region already struggled with a shortage of low-income housing, and now that shortage is even more severe. Low-income families, migrant workers, and members of the Latinx community have been the most impacted. This is close to my heart. I grew up in this region and have family and friends who were affected by the fire. During the week after the fire, I covered the aftermath for the New York Times. I stayed with my brother, who had almost lost his home. This coverage morphed into a year-long project documenting how these communities are rebuilding. From looking into people have searched and transitioned into new housing, to the resilience of students who recently graduated from Phoenix High School, where 30% of seniors lost their homes, I followed different stories through the community to document how these towns have made it through this past year after such a devastating event. The final project was published with High Country News after the year anniversary of the fire. The number of migrant encounters at the US-Mexico border reached a new record in 2021, with estimated totals exceeding 1.6 million. In migrants' experience, the idea of rigid borders and months of treacherous travel is worth any opportunity America has to offer. The culture of the United States is continuously redefined by the experiences of those who travel across its borders. And in a country that has thrived on a history of opening itself to refugees and immigrants, nothing speaks more to the fabric of the American identity than the faces of those who are fighting relentlessly for the American dream. This body of work documents families in various stages of migration as they fight to gain asylum in the United States of America. The debate on US immigration is a politically polarizing issue, and while it has received an increase in coverage by media outlets, only a speck of the issue is analyzed. The immigration system is often exacerbated by a lack of uniform enforcement of the rules by Border Patrol. Enforcement of immigration policies morph along the border, reflecting the local culture and the level of government compassion, all of which impact the migrant experience. This year, I teamed up with Vanessa Cesena, whose expertise on immigration paired with my photojournalistic work led us to drive from California to Texas to investigate differences between towns and ports of entry along the border. During our stops on both the US and Mexican sides, we began to understand the communities, residents, and the migrants that found themselves in limbo in these two worlds. Migrants we interviewed spoke about being deported back to Mexico despite having proof of their persecution, a basis for seeking asylum. Longtime border residents explained how immigration is interwoven into their daily life, giving them a unique view on the current crisis. Border Patrol agents described their perspective as being empathetic for migrant children, while also being skeptical of the stories of persecution from parents. In Texas, we visited the Junkyard Bar, a bar whose backdrop is the border wall. California continues to lead the nation with the highest share of homeless residents who are unsheltered at 70%. That category includes those who live on sidewalks, in tent encampments, abandoned buildings, in cars, or anywhere else outdoors. The rest are considered sheltered but without permanent housing, meaning they are staying in emergency shelters, transitional housing programs, or safe havens. Last year, Sacramento had the highest percentage of its homeless families sleeping outdoors. Since then, the city and county have expanded several programs for the homeless families. Whether those programs will decrease the number of homeless families or keep up with the rate of families becoming newly homeless is unknown. The average apartment rent in Sacramento region is now $1,760 a month, higher than Washington, D.C., New York City, and Seattle. In increasing numbers, they are coming face to face with the cost of living here and across California. I think it goes back to Sacramento's greatest and growing problem, said Joe Smith, advocacy director. Oat homeless service organizations Loaves and Fishes, which is that no one can afford to live here. This series looks into the hearts and souls of the unhoused and the struggles they face in a city and county that is unaffordable and has a housing shortage. All of the shelters are full and there is no place for them to go. Clairton, Pennsylvania rests along the Monongahela River, 15 miles south of Pittsburgh. Once a cornerstone of the regional steel industry, Clairton now represents a portrait of the varied impacts of industrial decline. It's home to America's largest coke producing facility, the Clairton Coke Works. This year-long project documents the richness of a community often reduced to its struggles and the complex relationship between Clairton's environment and the people who call it home. Residents cope with a confluence of stifling air pollution, illness, and community-wide trauma. Youth and a record-holding high school football team provide hope for the community's future. This project was completed with support from the NPPA mentorship program.
Alrighty, so maybe we'll go, does any stick out to you all that does not rise to the top? Or do any stick to you that do rise to the top?
Okay.
Can we look at the contact sheet and go from there? That'd
Sure
be
can.
easier.
Good,
Yeah.
good idea, okay.
This
This
is an N for me.
that one is a out for me.
To me, this one's out. It feels like you know, it worked in the context of the newspaper when they put it with words and stories, but
Mm-hmm.
it's an important story, but it's just
Yeah, this one,
yeah,
the
it
out
doesn't
for
hold
me.
together. Out.
Out?
I like this story, but I'm a little wondering, but I like the issue that these family, you know, working in Virginia, this is a huge issues for these folks.
Yeah, I
To me,
don't.
it's an out.
Yes, I feel like the photography just isn't there to
Mhm,
report on the story, even though it was a good start.
mhm.
2 outs, I have a third,
I'm out too.
2 out, okay. I just want to make sure an in doesn't keep it in, okay.
This is an N for me.
This one is an out for me. I like the story. The story is very important, but visually, it's just a lot of the pictures look repetitive.
There's a few fake pictures that start with the young guy at the end. I think they didn't
Hmm.
need all those, and I feel like those are definitely the same. Him at school. It is you. I mean, it doesn't really. I would like to at least keep it in for one more round.
Yeah,
how
I
it
think
stands
the
up.
photographer trying to tell the story through this young guy's eye, you know, so many generation, but this going to be his last because of it's a dying breed, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just really story need to be told in, especially in the Midwest. But I do agree there are, you know, not enough visual variety. But I like the issues. We could keep it for now.
And the first images, they were strong when they were with the dad, and then with the son, it feels like, you know, you see scenes of the town, the work, the life, and then at the end it was like he's at school, then he's at, what is that, work? I don't even know. Yeah, so at the end
That's
it does
cool.
get weak. It does get weak at the end.
Yeah, at the end, it looked like it was like a day,
And then why
that's
is
a
it
problem.
showing him working with his
Yeah.
dad? You know,
So we're in agreement, it's
To me,
It's
it's
an
an
out.
out.
maybe it's out. I've
Okay.
talked myself out of it.
This is the end for me. Like, I feel like I'm there. I feel like I know the place. The photos are strong. You could
Mhm.
tell that the photographer like spent their time. They didn't rush it. Um, yeah, like I see the story. I feel that this story. I love the different variety, the different locations, the different events. I want to go there.
The color's nice.
Yeah, the colors are really, really nice.
I feel like it looks a lot like Flint is a place,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
but I could keep it in.
Do I have 2 ins?
hmm
Good. Next.
This is an N for me.
In
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
this in for me.
me.
Yeah.
I don't know. That may be the number one, y'all. I'm just
Yeah, it
saying.
might be.
Didn't
this
we
is an
already
in.
place this story somewhere?
Yes.
We
So
did.
how does
Okay,
that
we can-
work,
How do
Linda?
do it?
So Cliff Edom can be on its own. You can do it twice with Cliff Edom and someplace else.
Okay.
Well, we should keep it then.
I like this story.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a few pictures that should have been lost, but
Right.
uh,
Uh,
this
Close the
one,
dog.
didn't strike me, y'all.
Get out, close the door.
no. To me, there
This,
were some beautiful pics, but
Dogs
didn't
open
get there.
doors.
I think this one is an out for me.
It's an
Yeah,
alpha.
Out.
it's a strong story, but it needed a character, like to stick with one. I feel like that would have made it better.
I agree with that. And
I'd say we could leave it in for another round.
There's some strong images in there.
Mm-hmm.
this is out.
Yeah, I like the other homeless. This is a little different.
This one is very different.
This
I would
is the border one, guys.
Yeah, it's another
Yeah.
border one. They're together.
I mean, some really strong.
I would say in. Let's keep
Yeah,
in
one
the
round. I
conversation.
love that photo of the little girls on the swing.
All right, keep it another round.
I think it's gonna be the other one is just hands down stronger.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just this is strong, but the other one just I'm sorry, the personality and the
Yeah.
It's
See,
hard for me to
storytelling
get
through that.
into.
Yeah.
This one's out. We'll go to the next.
Yeah. This is in for me. This is some strong storytelling. It's some nice strong shots in this.
The only thing that takes away from it, I feel like, are the portraits.
Yeah, I agree with you.
that's kind of
There's a-
threw me off with
Mhm.
those portraits in there. They got enough visual in there that really do not need some of those
Except for the
portraits
guy
in there.
sitting on the bed, when you see all the pills in the back, that's different because you get the
Mhm.
sense of like the sickness. But the other portraits I could really do without.
Yeah, to me it's out.
We have one out.
This is
I can see this one in the end will be out as well.
Ladies.
it for me. It's an N, like an honorable mention, maybe. I don't know, but like it's strong photos. Those portraits are the only thing that throws me off. I wish that they didn't do that.
I guess it's an out for me.
All right.
Because they're like, once again, there's strong images in there, but as a whole, I don't know. It would work.
Oh, look at us.
Look
Ah,
at you guys. Well
that's
done. So
6.
you're at
All
6.
right,
Kill 2.
2 more.
I would kill the black and white photos. And that hurts for me. I feel like I'm betraying my life, but
No, don't worry, Dee.
don't worry. Okay.
No one's going to hold this against you.
Please don't
Yeah,
tell,
we won't tell anyone.
tell nobody. Yeah, the storytelling is just not that strong for me. It's some strong images that can stand alone. But yeah, I don't.
I think it was good until the end when they got a home. Then it felt like you only
Yeah.
spent one day maybe, and then you didn't really have a lot of images, but you just took what you got. But I don't know. I feel like the storytelling is strong as far as like the journey it took, and then the community around, showing the piñata, the birthday celebration, even through all the probably the things they have to endure, they were still coming together.
Yeah.
I think what made me say that is, like you mentioned, the end. The end is just it falls off. It's like
Yeah.
what, like it's not bringing things full circle for me.
Yeah, I agree that the bottom kind of fell off on this story. I wish that there are more of the community life at the end to see how they adapted to their new communities or the struggle they face or whatever that is. I think I agree that the bottom kind of fell off in this. There's a lot of beautiful images early on, and the story are well tied together, but at the end, it just sort of like a disappear.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Didn't have the access at the end. It was hard to get. I don't know.
No, I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, that
But
happens.
is that worth tanking it all together?
Like they should have probably just left that out and then just told this part of the
Or at
story.
least that blurry one.
Yeah.
Movement with the kid and the Christmas tree. Like you could have just ended it with just the family and the Christmas tree, and then got rid of the blurry one.
Yeah.
Like
And
the
the
And
Spider-Man.
then what's the last one? I don't understand the last photo.
the
Can we
last
see
two
it?
are just not doing
Yeah,
it.
that's how I
so
felt that
weird.
the last few images, it just
Mm-mm.
doesn't tie together. And so like it just like you know, oh, I better include these in to complete my story. But I would agree that it just ended with when
Made it
they,
worse.
yeah, it's not working for me.
Threw me off, y'all.
Hmm?
I think for a real, yeah,
What?
I think for a real New America, he would, the photographer should have really spent, you know, it should have been like 10 and whatever, 20 and 20 or whatever the amount is, 10 and 10. You know, like what's it like to go to school? What's it like to, you know,
Mhm.
go shopping? What's it like to, you know, send your money
They
back
got
home?
there.
What's it like to,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just everything's missing.
Or enjoying the first hamburger or fries.
Yeah, you're
You know,
exactly.
something, you know.
Man, getting bullied, reuniting with family. I mean,
Mm.
it's just, oh wow, that's a missed opportunity.
Mm.
Because that's the story that's really, when you did all that work at the border, that's a really powerful story.
And so what would be the other story that we would like to pass on?
At the bottom.
Is that,
Let's see this one. Oh yeah, that's out for me.
yeah, this is the one that
I wouldn't, yeah, that's that one.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. All right, we did it.
We did.
Although we may have to bring, I mean, we have some repetition of sort of concept here.
Well,
A
do we?
little
Do
bit.
we though? Oh well, one is like a couple, you know, living homeless. The other one is a family being evicted.
yeah.
I mean, it's sort of the same, but you know,
It's a two different stories when
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
evicted, you know.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
this is probably the first place right here.
Can we
I-
look
I-
through
this-
this?
I think this
I
is
like
my
it.
first place here. This story.
Linda, are we, well, I guess we'll know who the photographer is once we announce the winners publicly, right? That's what we'll know.
Right, once it's public, and I won't know this, I don't know it today. You just will have to know about it later.
She's like, I want to know
This
the
is a
fact
really,
Ew, I want to go to LA, or you know, they're in LA, right? I want to go there. And
I've contacted some photographers after they won certain awards and were like, you rocked.
you did that.
this
I wasn't.
is a
didn't-
really strong story.
Yeah, I'm happy
And,
about
and
Yeah.
I think what's so strong is they found one really strong character, but two really strong characters.
Yeah.
There's a hook to it. They made
Yeah,
it like
that wedding dress,
a
that
hook.
first wedding dress photo
Yeah.
was like,
Mhm.
oh, she's whoa, you know.
And
And
this
then-
is a lot.
And then
Stick with you this type of story because I tried to do something similar, but it's so much like trying to keep up with the people. Sometimes they have phones, sometimes they don't, like just the communication. And I can tell that they stuck with this person for a while.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, there's a woman
Gotta go
in
find 'em.
Chicago who also is doing this, and she refused to call them homeless. Her name's Englewood Barbara Alita Clark, and she's been helping these folks for like 5 years, who are under a viaduct in Chicago, and it really reminds me of that, where it's like you're just allowing the people to come through and be human, where so often it's a story that, okay, you're homeless.
Mhm.
And I
All
think
right,
it's really